Hello and welcome to Been There, Watch That podcast. This is episode number 4. I'm Justin. I'm joined by Joe and Dave. This is where we review movies and TV, new and old. Check out our website, BeenThereWatchThat.com. Joe put that together and it's great. It's got a little breakdown of each episode and our rating. And you can see how our rating might compare to other review sites out there like IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at BTWT Pod. We're on all major podcast platforms and hosted by Anchor.fm. Episode 1, we did The Social Dilemma. Then we got in the Christmas spirit, did Christmas Vacation, then Home Alone. Now, episode 4, Mad Max.
Yeah, the original Mad Max, 1979.
Yes.
This is George Miller's throw out there. And if you're not familiar, George Miller was a ER doctor who made some money on the side, partnered with an amateur filmmaker out of school, and together they made this movie on less than $500,000. They were paying the crew and stuff in like cases of beer and stuff like that.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. So, but yeah, interesting.
I heard 350,000 thrown around, maybe something around that.
Yeah, under $500,000. It grossed $100 million worldwide, and
really,
yeah, led to a franchise.
No way! Oh my gosh! Well, we talked a little bit when we were talking about Home Alone, a $15 million budget, and then some of these big numbers you start to just get used to. Well, of course, the movie's going to take at least $10 million to make, and then to hear 350,000 was pretty hard to wrap your head around. Even if it was 1979.
Consider not any spoilers yet, but you and I talked. Justin and I talked before the show, and 350,000 doesn't surprise me, but to gross that much, that shocks me.
Yeah,
so I have to ask, was 1979 just that slow of a year? Or
well,
what?
I got to think, though, this was probably the first post-apocalyptic type film.
Okay, so yeah, let's break into the synopsis real quick, and then we'll break this whole thing down, because I have a big issue with that key word.
Okay, go ahead.
Post-apocalyptic. So the synopsis is taking place in a dystopian Australia in the near future, which I have to laugh on that one. Mad Max tells a story of a highway patrolman cruising the squalid back roads that became the breeding ground for criminals foraging for gasoline and scraps. After some grisly events at the hands of the motorcycle gang, Max sets out across the barren wastelands to search revenge. That's on IMDb. Rotten Tomatoes, and here's the only reason I'm doing this for this one is I'm kind of getting conflicting reports.
Yeah.
In a not-too-distant dystopian future, when a man's most precious resource, oil, has been depleted and the world plunged into war, famine, and financial chaos, the last vestige of the law in Australia attempt to restrain a vicious biker gang. Max, played by Mel Gibson, is an officer of the Main Force Patrol, launches a personal vendetta against the gang when his wife, played by Joanne Samuel, and son are hunted down and murdered, leaving him with nothing but the instincts for survival and retribution.
Yeah.
So,
explain your beef.
Where is this post-apocalypse at?
Well, it's hinted at. I would say it's loosely hinted at, so I kind of agree with you because they don't really spell it out. I mean, they're kind of like they're in very much law enforcement. They're in very much law. And then the only thing that kind of shows me any relation to that is the dead zone type sign that they show twice that he goes into.
Yeah, that's the only thing. But
now my beef is, in one of those times when he's chasing the main guy, he follows a tractor trailer hauling a bulldozer into it, and then the main guy wrecks into a tractor trailer coming the other way through it. So if it's such a big dead zone that prohibited, then why in the world are 2 tractor trailers going through it?
And why is there electricity and water
and fences on the fields
and radio communication and all the grass is green and trees are in bloom?
Yeah.
Yeah, that struck me because I was going into it picturing some really
bleak.
Some vehicles that are, like you'd see in other
trashed on the sides.
Put together from different parts with spikes on them and stuff. But most vehicles looked pretty normal. So the only thing I kind of told myself was, well, this is before all that, and there's maybe things are starting to get bad, but not quite the level of cannibalism or anything yet.
And I got to think with the 350,000 budget, that probably lent to we can only do so much, guys. But I liked it. This brought back. I forgot about it. To be honest with you, I kind of thought the Road Warrior was the original, and then Justin, when you brought this up, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. There was the first one.
Joe helped me out a lot because we went back and forth about 10 times of, wait, which one do you want me to watch? And I was like, the 1981 or the one with Mel Gibson. You're like, this one? And I'm like, no, that looks too old. 79, that can't be it. But then eventually, 79 is the original.
Yeah, and and of course, in Australia, they have the biker gang that just, lawless biker gang, kind of like here in America, it'd be like the Hells Angels or the Pagans or something that just kind of go and do what they want.
Yeah, the punk rock biker gang with the crazy hairstyles.
Yeah. They're supposed to be so intimidating. What about them is intimidating besides the bad haircuts?
Well, and see, we talked a little bit about that yesterday when we were discussing the options here. But back in Australia, the gun laws are so strict. Nobody really has guns, so it was a big deal for Mel Gibson to have a shotgun.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I did not know that.
I mean, if you watch the movie, like the bikers don't carry guns or anything, so they're like the grandma in one scene, herds them into a barn using a shotgun, and they're all like, "Yeah, okay, this is serious," because she had a gun.
Okay, so that makes a little more sense because I was telling Justin, what makes him so big and intimidating other than the bad haircuts? Because
just the fact that back then it was physical force.
Yeah, because Justin even said, Grandma had a gun and she ran a whole biker crew into the barn. It's like, so how is Grandma with a gun really that intimidating versus 10 bikers?
And Mel Gibson, ran after him in the woods with a shotgun with only 2 shells.
Yeah.
That was a big deal. And then he carries around a little sawed-off shotgun with 2 shells.
You guys may have to fact check me on this, but he's 20 years old, something around that age, pretty young.
Mel Gibson?
That's what my dad told me. He Googled it, I think. But.
Yeah, now he actually went. He drove his friend there. So he played rugby. Mel Gibson played rugby the couple days prior to the audition, and he drove his friend. And they saw him, and they're like, hey, would you be willing to be one of the freaks that are kind of like on the side? And he's like, yeah, okay. And they're like, can you remember, some of these lines? And he's like, sure. And so they had him audition for one of the side freaks, and then they're like, hey, you just got the main part, man.
No way.
But you got to get healed up a little first because he had like black eyes and bruises, from playing rugby. And so that's how he got the part.
Now, here's something interesting. The biker gang is a real life biker gang called the Vigilantes.
Yeah, and that's what they paid them with, cases of beer.
Yeah.
So, they were a real biker gang, and they talked to a couple members, and there's one scene that's pretty rough where they wreck a motorcycle on a bridge, and the bike actually hits the guy in the head.
Yes.
And it looks rough, and so that's the main biker guy. Let me see if I can find his name here.
Yeah, and the biker gang, they had to actually ride to the set each day in costume, often with their prop weapons displayed, since the production company expected them to be pulled over by the local police. Each was given a letter, basically a get-out-of-jail-free card, explaining the film's peculiar requirements. So the get-out-of-jail-free card to Goose actually gives the Triker was actually an on-set joke of kind of them having to give them these little get-out-of-jail-free cards or little passes. So if the cops pull you over, hand them this letter so they don't arrest you for all these weaponry on your motorcycle.
Yeah. Now, did either of you catch his name?
Whose name?
Mad Max.
Rockatansky?
Yeah, Rockatansky. I'd never even noticed that until I watched it this time.
Max.
Well, it's his. Max Rockatansky.
Okay.
Is his name. And he's named after a physician, Karl von Rockatansky.
Yeah.
He was a pathologist that created the Rockatansky procedure, which is a method for removing organs in an autopsy. And that came from Miller's medical training. So he's like, oh, yeah, I like that name. Here we go. Yeah.
When Max is driving around, people that like fast cars, he's got a kind of cool little switch. And then you see him hit the switch, and that gets some sort of like belt or fan going. I'm
like a little turbo, like a turbocharger.
Yeah, he's got a little turbo thing on. He kind of hits that from time to time.
A blower, yeah.
Starts out with him basically just right off the bat. He's a patrolman, but
yeah,
cops are not wearing cop uniforms. People are wearing leather.
Black leather, yeah.
Yeah.
Make you
And
look tough and mean.
It kind of opens with this guy Knight Rider who's like
Yeah.
clearly bad. He's just a crazy bad
Crazy,
guy.
yep.
And he ends up getting killed. I don't know if he kills him or he just wrecks.
No, he wrecks and kills himself.
So then the whole biker gang wants to avenge that
Yeah.
guy's death. This Knight Rider, they go grab him, put him in a coffin, drive around, and they're totally bent on killing cops now.
Yeah.
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 So it kind of sets up the whole tension.
Yeah. So funny stuff. And and like you said, Joe, the biker gang was a real biker gang, and that was part of their deal. It's pretty impressive they pulled together that kind of movie that way. And it was weird though. Did you guys think anything weird, like the captain? He was a big burly guy. He wore no shirt,
Walked around shirtless
with a
like
scarf.
That was weird.
Yeah.
I specifically brought that up at one point. Yeah.
I was just like, interesting.
Yeah.
And Max, you're my best. We got to keep you on the road. And they do that little deal. They show him the V8. So the V8 apparently was in low ability to find, which back in 1979 I could kind of see, because Mustangs came out, with the V6, and V8 cars just weren't that big a deal.
Plus, in Australia, it was probably hard to
Oh
import.
yeah, in Australia you probably couldn't find anything like that.
Right.
Yeah. One point you'd mentioned something about it was being extremely rare that, not to jump ahead or anything, but in the Knight Rider, the sequel to this, it is mentioned that when some folks see his car, they're like, "Oh my gosh, that's one of the last ones out there."
Yeah.
A V8 like that.
Yeah.
That particular car.
The big bad V8, all black. So he was the bad guy right off the bat. Not the bad guy, but the vigilante. Kind of the bad guy, because he was outside the law at that point. Which I think was a little bit of foreshadowing. If you really paid attention to that when you saw, the mechanic's kind of the goofy, eccentric mechanic who's like, check this out. And
one thing that did strike me at when kind of the opening scene, Max, there's like a turned over vehicle with some gasoline
dripping out of it,
leaking
yeah.
And the way he's like so meticulous about making sure he gets all of that fuel, it kind of reflected on this is something that is disappearing, and you might treat it like life or death to try to get as much fuel as you can, because you might get stranded somewhere if you. And he was using a rag to wipe it off the ground, then squeeze it out into a little dish, because he's like, I have to get as much fuel as I can.
Yeah.
But it's one of those just so subtle that I completely forgot about that, and it's one of those, when you read the synopsis online, you're picturing A, and then you actually get B, and it's like, well, so I'm sitting there the whole time. I was like 30 minutes into it, going, well, this makes absolutely no sense. So I actually paused it, pulled out my phone, and started reading up on it. I was like, okay, am I not? Did I read the wrong thing? Did I expect the wrong thing? And literally, between Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb, they're similar, but they're just small enough differences than what you read. What they're really talking about, it's like, okay, it's making a little more sense now. So when I went back and watched the rest of the way through, I was like, okay, making a little more sense now on what's going on, who's doing what, why it's going this way.
Yeah. And it's kind of...
people kind of fill this stuff in later.
Yeah.
Explain it, and they figure it's not totally made clear in the film if you were just watching it.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy because they really did good camera work to kind of capture the vast open roads. But the roads are really skinny. I don't know. Did you guys notice that?
Yes.
The roads are skinny everywhere.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of room to pass or to go in either way. But... it had that kind of...
cool setting. I thought Australia was...
Oh, yeah.
Some real good scenery.
The beaches were beautiful, It was funny because the biker gang kind of got away with whatever, so I guess that was kind of the paramount of the story, is that there was a lack of law, and the biker gang kind of did what they wanted to do, and people had to tolerate it.
Well, his buddy early on gets killed, and they kind of implied that he was the only one that had the guts to stand up to some of these... bad guys, and they got him.
Yeah. Goose kind of got it, yeah. So Goose was an outspoken one and was mad at the original biker member that they caught because he was whacked out on drugs. Yeah, and he got off because no one showed up to
testify against.
There you go. Yeah, good call. So yeah, it's kind of a neat or kind of Clockwork Orange type setting in the first town that they roll into, and they all rev their motorcycles off, and the leader, tells them they shut it down all at once to kind of make that impression of the biker gangs in town.
Right.
And then, of course, they jump a couple that try to run away, and
yeah. So So
They drag the one guy down the street.
yeah, the couple in the Bel Air, I couldn't figure out what the connection was because we find out later that he's actually connected with those guys.
I'm lost. What do you mean?
The couple in the Bel Air, he's standing there watching them with the motorcycles. Then he
Yeah.
and his girl take off in the Bel Air.
Yeah, they see the guy get drugged down the street, and they're like, "Oh, we got to get out of here."
Yeah. So then they chase him down, and then is it the same guy later on that meets his demise at the end of the movie, or is that somebody else?
That's somebody different.
Okay, because they looked.
They look similar. They had similar hair. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because
No.
I thought it was the same guy.
The last time you see that guy, he's just running off in the field, with a shirt on, but nothing else.
Okay, now here's what I found interesting. I just found this up a little bit ago.
Because they run down and like the poor girl's chained up, to the car, and Goose helps her, and then the guy runs off in the field, and they call him a turkey. He's like, "Hey, turkey, quit running!" But so they kind of sort out what happened, and they come across the one guy, the kid that the main guy sent Bubba back after him, and he's like, he's not worth it. You're risking a lot for one knucklehead.
Yes, so I found. Let me see if I can find it here again. Okay, the UK version of the scene where they run the car off the road and they start bashing the car in.
Yeah.
In the UK, in certified video releases, American dub, that they cut out 48 seconds by the BBFC to keep an X rating and prevent the film from being banned.
Really?
Yeah.
I could see that because, like, say, kind of the Clockwork Orange violence, sexual nature.
So what they did was they cut out the scene where the bikers tear up the car.
Yeah.
And they just turned it. Instead, they scene cut to black as the bikers smashed the first window and resumed on the bird hovering overhead.
Yep. Yeah, kind of cut that sexual violence out.
Yes.
Yeah, I could see that. But, and it's kind of weird because that doesn't... I know they're kind of hinting at the oil crisis, but that you really don't see that until the second movie. Mm-hmm. It's more... This one's more just the biker gang, vigilante, and kind of sets up who Mad Max really is.
Right.
And how he got that way. He's kind of ventures into the no man land to right wrongs.
If they had any sort of big picture, if they were planning to try, kind of what you described sounds like, let's just try to make a movie without.
Yeah. They started out with one movie and they're like, hey, what if we had a second one? And then they actually, they got together and said, if there was a third, what would that look like?
Yeah, and I was actually surprised because I remember, was it this year, last year, year before, year before, the Mad Max movie came out. I've not watched it, but that was what I was just based off the movie poster. And then when Justin said, hey, let's watch Mad Max, that's what I was that's what I was thinking of. And then when you said the original, I was like, wait, there's originals? So then I had to go start digging a little deeper. And that's the first thing I thought it was, they're on the desert, it's post-apocalypse and all this and that, and never... They want to start watching, and that's where I start getting confused. It's like, okay, it's supposed to be post-apocalypse, but everybody has electric and water and communications over radio, and it's like, so where's the apocalypse part of this? Because, granted, with the budget, now that I know the budget, okay, you can't do a lot of special effects, but it doesn't cost anything to turn a light switch off to make it look like there's no power.
Yeah. It's interesting. So, did you guys find any of the little side scenes? Did you notice any of them? Like, for instance, his wife playing the saxophone at some point, which really had nothing to do with anything. And did you notice his young child? His name was Sprague.
Yeah.
No, I did not notice that.
SPROG,
Yeah, and did you notice that he's playing with Max's revolver in the house?
Okay, I saw that.
It's just a quick glimpse.
Yeah, I saw that, and I thought, surely that's not Max's gun that he's playing.
It was, yeah. They kind of dropped that in there, and then... Did you guys get anything out of the one officer that got his throat cut? He was using the voice box to talk.
Yes.
Yeah. Because it kind of made it seem like in the movie a little bit that he was dead because his throat was bad, but he's back and he's using his voice.
Okay, I didn't get that connection.
Yep.
I just picked it up like, okay, this guy.
Yeah.
I didn't make the connection of they slit his throat and he used the voice box. I remember him using the voice box.
Yeah, but he was in a wreck where his head went through the windshield.
Yeah,
but he had the little mechanical voice box.
Okay,
yeah.
I didn't make that connection.
Yeah, and then the other one that stands out to me is like the biker gang. They dance with each other and kind of have weird dance moves. You know, like when they rolled into town, two of them.
Yeah.
The two goofy ones
Yeah.
dance with each other and
Yeah,
kind
it
of.
kind of seems like part of what they're trying to scare you with is that this was pretty strange behavior at the time and strange appearance. That, like you said, maybe they're not the scariest physically, or
Yeah,
Yeah,
just crazy.
There's something off about them.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to.
Normal society would think these people aren't right or something.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. I was like, okay, how are these guys intimidating? They
Okay.
have bad haircuts and
Yep.
eyeliner. And Justin said eyeliner. It's like,
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
even give that a
Oh,
thought.
yeah.
Like, yeah, they have bad haircuts and eyeliner, and that makes you tough.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at rock stars. I mean, if
It's
you
like,
got
you know,
big hair, big '80s hair and leather pants and women's clothing, and you're the baddest guy on the stage.
You know, I'm thinking you're just one bad decision away from a man bun.
yeah.
Do you
So-
remember that mask he was wearing to kind of like play around with his wife?
Yeah,
Like,
that was so weird.
Yes.
Yeah, and then later it kind of flashes pretty quickly, but after, like, once he's out for revenge,
Yeah.
he, like, opens this box and that grumpy looking baby face mask is in there. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like,
And he kind of stares at it, makes up his mind, and goes vigilante.
and grabs a shotgun and,
Yeah, I don't understand the mask at all,
yeah.
but it was there.
Now, did you guys think the movie ran just a little too slow?
See, I just go back to the first one. Now, if I hadn't have seen the other ones, it'd probably be okay. But after like the second and third ones, and now the fourth one, yeah, that's what I mean. It kind of lays the groundwork without.
Do you know what the runtime is? Like,
It's about an hour and a half.
Yeah, a little over an hour and a half, I think.
I didn't, but it just kind of depends what mood I'm in.
And that's what I mean. It kind of went to his wife playing the saxophone, his kid playing. He's, working on the car at the beach, and
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like there was a lot of filler, and then once you get to the main plot point of the story,
Yeah.
the movie's over
Yeah.
with. It's like,
yeah,
Yeah, sometimes
okay.
you kind of could tell, like, oh boy, his wife is going out without him somewhere around the corner to get an ice cream cone.
yeah. That's the
Obviously
crazy
something
part.
bad's gonna happen. So.
yeah.
Yeah.
There were a couple things like that where like, okay, let's move it along. We know what you're getting at.
And what bothered me about that was she goes out to get ice cream. They come back and there's a hand, attached to their car with a chain where they got through the chain
Yeah.
and tried to catch it. Which I
Yeah.
don't. What was he trying to do? Stop the car?
Yeah.
But either way, you have all that kind of go down, and what do? You
Go
you,
to,
you let your wife, not let her, but your wife heads over the hill like a mile away over to the beach by herself,
right, so
Yeah.
she's
knowing that the
basically-
biker gang's not that far away.
So,
Right.
I know, yeah, that bothers me a little bit. I'm like, well, surely they're gonna go like far away, but then
Yeah.
they're kind of just like, oh yeah, remember when we almost got killed? Like,
In
it's
the-
fine now. We're going to the beach. And
Yeah.
and they come show up again.
And
like,
what I
oh,
thought
God.
was funny, the way the building, the junkyard was set up, looked like he had to drive through the junkyard to get to
Yeah.
the ice cream shop. I was like,
Yeah.
really?
Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, kind of weird stuff that was a little disjointed in the film, but all led to the same road though, really. And then I will say the biggest disappointment I had was he didn't really get the biker gang back as strongly as I'd like him to. Like he ran some of them, they just went off the bridge and landed in the water. Maybe it killed them, maybe it didn't.
Right.
And then the main guy really got it good.
Oh yeah, they.
I mean,
Well, some
smash.
parts like my dad and I were talking. Some parts were kind of funny. They weren't meant to be, but like the guy getting run over, and it's like clearly a dummy, but it like explodes into like 5 pieces. Is
Yeah.
kind of ridiculous and funny.
Well, and then like
But yeah, he got it good. He got totally run over by like a huge truck.
yeah, and then like Bubba, he's like, Bubba, stop playing with him. I know what I'm doing. As he sits there and lets him get his shotgun,
Yeah.
double barrel sawed off deal. I'm like, really? That's the best you can do as a biker guy that's mean and tough. You don't know enough you better get the shotgun away from him
Yeah.
before
Yeah,
you
that
ride
guy-
straight at him.
Revs it and goes straight at Max, and then just gets shot instantly. Like
Yeah.
didn't do anything in terms.
Well, I just surely, hey, don't worry. I ran over his arm and he can't reach the gun with his other hand.
Yeah.
All under control, boss. But
They really messed his leg up. The way he was acting it as if like
yeah,
it was broken, but it's like he could not even move it in any way, shape, or form. Like dragging it like a.
Yeah.
he got
But then
shot in the knee
Joe
joint.
mentioned that he like scurried up a hill later.
Yeah, at the end when
Yeah.
when he lights the truck on fire, he's limping down the hill, but as soon as
Yeah.
he lights the
Oh,
fuel, he basically runs uphill. It's like, now wait a minute. He just got his leg blown out. He can barely walk, 2 minutes ago, but now he's sprinting up a hill. Now come on.
Yeah. So
Not a whole lot of lines for Mel either.
Yeah.
A lot of just kind of slow music and other things going on. Not tons of dialogue from Mel Gibson.
I want to say like 16 lines or something is where I saw.
Really?
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot.
When he did talk, though, I could hear just. I mean, he's got that same voice and cadence as he does now today in his movies.
Because his main talk was with the captain when he's like, "Listen, I got to get out because I don't want the same fate as Goose, and I'm done, and I'm not going to change my mind." And he's like, "Well, take 2 weeks, come back and we'll talk." He's like, "I'm not going to change my mind." That's where he had most of his conversation at. That and probably the guy that was in the junkyard changing his tire.
Yeah. Yeah, dropping the
jack on
him.
Yeah. Yeah, letting a car drop down on him. Yeah. So the overall, did you get the overall theme of the movie, which was, or what are your thoughts on the overall theme, which is even the most honorable, best of humanity, a policeman doing his job, trying to protect the citizens, goes bad to deliver justice. Is that something you kind of thought about? Did that movie hit that home with you? That he's broken beyond redemption because of his wife and his child, and is he able to kind of pull his life back together now that he's got vengeance, or what's going to happen from there, or because it's kind of crazy. Even when he gets justice on the main guy, he drives back. Like they give this scenario of he's driving back 20 hours on the road, just man on the road. I don't know. What are your all's thoughts on that? Did that resonate with you?
Watching it and, finding out, the reason he becomes Mad Max is, this biker gang went after his wife and child and killed them both. I was like, I could see that causing a man to snap, you mess with my family and, basically just victim of circumstance. I had nothing to do with the situation between your biker gang and you're just coming after me just because. Yeah, I can see that. I can perfectly see why he would snap and do what he does because he's trying to right the wrongs. But once you start down that road, it's kind of a slippery slope to, once you get that vengeance complete, you can't just flip it. Once you flip that switch on, it's hard to flip that switch off back to normalcy. I think it's one of those, once you flip that switch, you're now in that mode.
Yeah, out to pasture, kind of. You're out there.
And they kind of built that up because his wife played the saxophone. He was obviously in a great relationship. He had a little boy he loved. Didn't keep a close eye on very much, but
yeah,
that's what amazed me. I was kind of like, man, you just run off and leave your child sitting there beside the car knowing something's wrong.
Yeah.
Well, I laughed. I told Cena when they went for the ice cream, she set her son in the back of the car. And I told Cena, I said, yeah, it was the 70s. I said, you just put your kids back in the car with the groceries.
yeah, that. And like they on their trip, they pull in and go out on a blanket, and their kid's nowhere to be seen. So he must have been trapped in the car.
Yeah.
Just leave him in the car for an hour.
I never gave that a thought. Yeah.
Yeah,
there's no.
Because I was like, they went on vacation without their kid.
Yeah, she's laying
and
on
then
the
he pops up later.
Yeah.
So yeah, things to look at.
And it's a little kid too. It's like baby, basically.
Yeah, just starting to walk.
Yeah.
Or walking anyway.
Some scenes where bad stuff's happening, the baby's just crying. Yeah, I don't know if you heard stories that like maybe they used to pinch babies or something to get them to cry, but you always kind of wonder that, like, how much does this baby have to cry for this movie to get made?
Right.
Probably some guidelines nowadays where you can't just.
Yeah, how many pinches did that baby have to take to?
Running around with the baby, like bouncing around with them. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, when they put them in the back seat with the at the ice cream shop, I just laughed. It's one of those, it's not supposed to be funny, but nowadays you're looking at that and you're just laughing like, really? Yep. That was when you could bet throw the kids in with the groceries.
Yeah, and the dog, just throw them all in the back. Here we go.
Yeah.
Nothing but fun's going to be had there.
Exactly.
Nothing to worry about. Nothing to see here, folks. Although I got to say, were you surprised by his hot rod station wagon?
Yes.
I forget that part.
Oh yeah, he had a hot rod station wagon. Look up a picture of it.
Oh, it's like a desirable vehicle.
Oh yeah. It's got the funny space painting down the sides, and hot rod orange, and got big back tires with mag wheels. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I see it now.
It's the station wagon. It's the must-have station wagon.
What if they had like the rear-facing seat in the back? I remember riding around in one of those as a kid. I always thought that
I
was
don't
cool.
think so
I
because
don't know about that. And he was kind of a cool character. Like he had a surfboard strapped on top.
I don't think it did, Justin. I know
No.
what you're talking about, but I don't think it did because it didn't show. It just showed the baby sitting in the back, in the back, like the hatch part.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it had the. Did it even have a back seat? Period.
Yeah, I don't know. It didn't really show.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it from these pictures.
Is it a 2-door or 4-door, Justin?
Two.
Two.
Yeah.
Okay, so then there's a very slim chance of it having a back seat.
I mean, it's pretty sporty. You know, surfboard on top,
Yeah. Good-looking wheels.
painting
Like it.
down the side. Yeah.
Big, huge, long window on the back. Or no, that's a painting, like you said.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
He was a cool dad with the family station wagon that is rock and roll all about it. Yeah. Okay. Now you know.
We talked a little bit whether or not how much of a boost this gave Mel. I mean, obviously his first movie he said.
Yep.
We kind of talked. It seemed like maybe the second one, Road Warrior. That's when you could say he was a movie star, but this kind of got his foot in the door in terms of
Yeah.
on his way to becoming the Mel Gibson everyone knows.
Yeah, and I don't remember this first one much. Like you brought it up, and I was kind of like, the first one, really? And I had to think about it. But I kind of remember the biker gang, and then now I got to assume that everybody is way more familiar with Road Warrior, which came out 2 years later.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of had that in my head. So then
Yeah.
there's a little bit, like you said, Joe, a little
No, I definitely remember the Road
totally
Warrior.
different than what I was picturing in my head of what Mad Max was.
Well, see, I've not watched any of these.
I think I'd seen Road
Really?
Warrior a long time
Really?
ago. Yeah.
Joe,
Well, like I said,
what
I
kind of
didn't
growing up did you have?
apparently sheltered life because I didn't. Like I said, I didn't even know.
Well, Justin, you hadn't seen him either, though, right?
I'm pretty sure I'd seen Road Warrior because I just had glimpses of memory of that, but it's been so long ago. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we watch Road Warrior next?
Okay.
And
We
we'll
get
just
your
kind of
pick?
call that part 1 and 2.
Okay.
No, I don't want that to be my pick, but since you haven't seen it, Joe, I think you would like it.
Okay.
Because I want to go a different direction with my pick.
Okay.
So
Well,
we'll just call this
We
Justin's
could-
pick number
we
2.
could circle back around to this once it's my turn again. if
No,
you-
no, I think we do it now so it stays
Okay.
in order.
All right.
Okay.
So-
that was going to be my pick anyways.
So if you're listening to this, come back next week and we'll do the Road Warrior.
Okay.
Well, yeah, and I've got that on DVD. Like I said, I can loan that to you guys if you need.
Well, and that's the great. Well,
if you even have a DVD.
I don't have a DVD
player,
player, but so that is it? Let's see if we can find
So
it.
I went ahead and watched it, but I may even do a rewatch. But no spoilers or anything. But overall, I think I liked the sequel a little bit better than the original. But
Yeah, I got to think the next one is like really good.
seeing, yeah, everything's a little tighter and more of a less. Oh my gosh, my wife's getting attacked by bikers and more an
Yeah.
actual plot.
Now
of
he's
what they're-
completely off the rails.
Yeah,
And
what they're going for. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I can actually. Looks like Sling has it. So
Sling has it.
yeah, in their on demand section for TNT.
Man, I'm looking to see. Let's check Amazon real quick.
You can rent it for $2.99.
I got to rent it. How in the heck do I got to rent a movie from 1981?
I'll loan you a DVD player too. I'll hook you up.
I don't want it.
Should we move on to some scores?
Hold on, is it on Netflix?
No.
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 Oh man, this stinks. All right, anyway,
So we do our scores
All right.
with
Yeah,
sizes of popcorn.
Yes.
from the Roby Theater type deal.
Take it away,
yeah.
Joe.
Our local theater.
Okay, so you want me to give my review?
Well, explain it
Or-
first, just in
Okay.
case.
Oh, okay, the
I
rating
mean, we're
system.
only on
Okay.
show number 4.
Okay, so burnt popcorn is the absolute worst,
Right?
and it goes small, medium, large, and then a nod to our local movie theater, the Roby Theater. If you have never heard of the Roby Theater, do a quick Google search on that. It's one of the longest, one of the oldest continuously operated movie theaters in America.
ROBEY, correct?
Yeah, ROBEY.
Yeah.
And they have, instead of a large popcorn, they always call it the mop bucket. So we have burnt popcorn, small, medium, and large, and kind of the 5-star review would be the mop bucket popcorn. That's the ultimate.
Which Home Alone got
Yes.
a mop bucket rating from Joe
Yeah.
last time.
Yeah. My first mop bucket rating was on Home Alone. So Dave and Justin were still waiting on malt bucket ratings for you guys. And
This one's not going to get it, I don't think.
I don't either. I just got a sneaky suspicion that
Yeah.
Mad Max probably isn't going to make the cut. But I'm anxious to see if anybody whips out the burnt popcorn card.
I can say I will not. I mean, I appreciate it enough. And I think on my end, knowing the budget and knowing what they were working with makes me appreciate it more.
Oh, yeah. When
You know,
heard
it's not like if you have-
$350,000, I was
Yeah.
kind of...
I mean, if you have a big budget and you throw out a stinker, which I've seen,
Yeah.
then that's, kind of crazy. But doing it like they did it, it's kind of real. It's raw. So, yeah, I don't think I'm not giving it a burnt one.
Yeah, it's kind of shocking now that I know the budget on it and how
Yeah.
well it is. Kind of like Napoleon Dynamite. Napoleon Dynamite was one of those little indie films that had basically starred nobody, but became a huge cult hit. So, things like that do happen from time to time.
So you could kind of think of burnt popcorn as a 1 and small popcorn as a 2.
Right.
And I think I've got to go small, which 2 is not a terrible rating, and I don't want to look down on Mad Max too much because, it is kind of impressive what they're able to do with the budget and, just some silliness here and there, though, but I think, a good start to what would become a whole series and a big franchise. I'm going to go small popcorn for me.
All right.
I was tempted to go medium, but I just don't want to be the guy that's always wish-washy and in the middle and not willing to, give it a little bit of a lesser rating. But no way about burnt popcorn. I was entertained, but rolled my eyes a couple times, but still entertained. Small popcorn.
I agree with you. I mean, you might roll your eyes a little bit and you might say, well, that's a little outlandish or a little silly or maybe disjointed, but really not bad. And if you watch the other ones, it really sets the scene. As poor of a setting as that may be, it still sets the scene.
Right.
I'm going with medium, just because I appreciate the idea
Really?
behind it. Yeah, I mean, because of the sequel. I knowing what I know. Now, let me say this: if I watched it up front now, not knowing what the other ones were bringing,
Right.
then I might be,
I'm at.
then I might be like, well, it's kind of weird. But I don't know if you're a fan of Clockwork Orange, then this movie. Let me point that out. If you're a fan of, do you guys even know what Clockwork Orange
Yeah,
is?
not
I've seen
watched it.
I've seen it. Yeah.
Joe, you poor soul.
It's
See, this is
pretty,
why we're-
that
this
one's
is-
messed up.
This is why we're doing this, so
disturbing.
we can all
Yeah.
catch up on our movie.
That might have to be my
education.
pick, Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, well, the bad guys in this, they remind me of those.
Yes, it's in the same
Clockwork Orange
same
kinda
route, so
psychos.
kind of
Yeah.
Clockwork Orange-ish. So if you're a fan of Clockwork Orange, then this is your movie. So that's I don't know. And
Was that before? Do you know if Clockwork Orange is an older movie than Mad Max?
hold on, I'll tell you.
All right.
1971. So yeah,
Oh, yeah, much
Clockwork
older.
Orange came out, and then they kind of.
Yeah.
I feel like he channeled some of that into this movie.
Oh, sorry, Dave. Just to throw one more thing in. Before
Yeah, go ahead.
Or you already did your rating.
I said medium,
Okay. Well, Joe mentioned that he was scratching his head a little bit about the 90% approval that is on is that IMDb? Well,
Rotten Tomatoes.
90%.
Yeah, it's certified fresh with
Yeah.
90% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yep.
And I can't
Well,
figure it
audience
out.
score 70%.
Yeah, so still a high rating.
Yeah.
I don't. Maybe because it's like Mel Gibson's first flick. Maybe that's what's giving it so much weight.
Yeah. And I think, with our show here, you do have to kind of take things into consideration. I can't totally watch Mad Max in a vacuum. Because if it was a total vacuum, I don't know. Maybe if my more cynical type days, I'd say this is just a stinker.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's some entertainment value in it for you. And like Dave said, the big picture, how it ties in with other stuff.
Yeah.
It changes your rating a little bit than if we went to the movies and saw this for the first time, and we were
Right.
in 1970.
Yeah, and you had to pay $10 to get in,
Yeah.
plus your popcorn, all that stuff. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I gotta for my rating, I gotta say small popcorn,
Okay.
and I'm with you, Justin, on this one. I was watching it, and just as soon as it started, I was like, okay, this is a small popcorn, and it's one of those. It's got to get better because I was really flirting with burnt popcorn. I was like, but I can't. for the life of me, I cannot give us a burnt popcorn rating. I don't want to be the first one to give it a complete stinker.
Hey, I'm a movie guy, and if there's something that's going to be a burnt popcorn, I will throw it out there.
Yeah, but I didn't want to be the first one. So I was like, there's something I've got to give this movie time. But yet I caught myself, actually still watching it. And that's what I was basing off my ratings of. Okay, if it's burnt popcorn, that means I can't sit through the entire movie. I'm still sitting here watching this, trying to make sense of it all. So it must be still keeping some level of my attention because I have a very short attention span.
Right.
Well, yeah, I just recently saw a movie called Fat Man, which is Mel Gibson somehow or another it's portraying him as some sort of real life Santa. And I guess there was going to be some sort of action shootout at the end, but I never got to it because it was unwatchable. I could not watch it.
Is this a new one or an old one?
Yeah, well, pretty newer. I mean, it was in Redbox.
Let me run down some of these. So some other independent films that kind of rank right here with this one: Reservoir Dogs, which is Quentin Tarantino's first before Pulp
like
Fiction.
Much more than this one. I'll just say that.
Yeah. Little Miss Sunshine, which about a dysfunctional family. It's kind of weird, but it had some Oscar nominations in there as a indie film. Going back through Clerks, of course, had a really small budget, which was cult classic. Lost in Translation with Bill Murray. The Blair Witch Project. Now, the Blair Witch Project had a similar budget, $500,000, but it made 500 times that in the box office. That was a big one. Winter's Bone, Jennifer Lawrence, 2010.
I haven't seen that one. I need to see that one.
That one's a good one and should resonate. It says it's set in the Ozarks, but it's set in Kentucky, which is weird.
In the Ozarks of Kentucky.
Yeah, so Ozarks are more like towards Arkansas in my mind, but I'm not a geography guy, so I'm not sure. But I know it's set in Kentucky, meth dealer, Appalachia, dressed that way, speak that way. But that's
I know when I drive through Kentucky, that's the first thing I think of is all this beautiful Ozark.
Yeah, mountains, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's kind of a neat film if you don't know anything about it. Winter's Bone. It's got a really good plot to it. Jennifer Lawrence does a great job. It's kind of the hillbilly type setting, up a holler, meth makers, meth dealers, stuff like that. Family, Appalachian tradition of independence, fiercely independent. So,
right.
The book is really good, and the movie's pretty good.
Just to throw this out there, 1979, Apocalypse Now, Alien, Mad Max, Caligula, Life of Brian, The Warriors, Moonraker. Yeah, some of these I don't recognize. Once you start going further down the list, Rocky 2. So just some other movies.
They came out that year.
Yeah. Get Out. You guys remember Get Out? It's
Yep.
2017.
Yep.
That was an indie film that ranks in there. So, yeah. Some indie films that rank right up there with this Mad Max.
Yeah, I looked up Napoleon Dynamite because that was the first one I remember. That's the first one I remember growing up being an independent film that made huge news, and its budget was $400,000, and it box officed at $46.1 million.
Yeah. You know what the highest grossing indie film of all time is?
No.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
The first one?
from 1990.
Wow.
Grossed over $100 million.
Okay, I'll put that on my short list. That's
I have that movie.
Oh,
I actually
boy.
have all three.
I thought Mel did a decent job, even if they put him in some kind of silly situations. I thought he wasn't a terrible actor at any point. I didn't think.
No. Considering this is his first movie,
It's pretty impressive.
and now here we are 40 years later.
Mhm.
And seeing what kind of career he's made out of this being one of his foundation points, I think he's done pretty well for himself.
Yeah, oh yeah. And that's a great start for him and, kind of this culture of road warrior. So, yeah, interesting stuff. You guys know what the number one all-time movie is?
Star Wars?
Avengers Endgame.
Hmm.
Then Avatar.
Oh, okay.
Then
yeah.
Titanic. Then Star Wars.
Okay. Yeah, Avengers just went kind of just stupid crazy.
Yeah, and I don't watch any of those, so I really don't know. Like, I watched Iron Man. I like the Iron Mans.
I watched a couple of the Iron Mans, maybe one of the Fantastic Fours. Yeah, I remember I was in Charleston for something, and I drove around to one of the movie theater parking lots when Endgame was playing just to see if you could even get a spot. And literally, it was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Wednesday, and there was not a spot to be had in that movie theater parking lot. I was like, really? I
Wow.
just never
Yeah.
imagined.
Any idea what movie's gotten the highest Rotten Tomato score ever?
Nope.
Paddington 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Now I have to see what the worst movie on Rotten Tomatoes is.
Okay.
Or Bucky Larson was kind of famous for having a 0% on there at one point, which is Nick Swartzen. He's a comedian. I don't know if you guys are familiar.
Ballistic had a 0 rating. I don't even know what that is. Anyway.
But I think there's several that have maintained a 0% rating for some time. Oh, Bucky's up to 3% now.
Okay, here we go. Oh wow, see, yeah, these are a lot of
The
Ballistic, X versus Sever, 0%. That's number one. One Missed Call from 2008. 1,000 Words, an Eddie Murphy movie, ranks at number 3.
Huh.
I'm surprised to see Eddie Murphy on the list.
Yeah.
Baby Geniuses 2, Super Babies, no shock there. A lot of these straight to DVD. Jaws: The Revenge from 1987. The Ridiculous Six. Yeah, Bucky Larson, yeah. Bucky Larson has a 3%, at least on this article from Rotten Tomatoes. Jim Carrey, Dark Crimes, 0%. It's shocking. Like, really, Problem Child, 0%. I am shocked because I've seen that movie several times over the years.
Man, did you know there was a movie in 1992 called El Mariachi? Budget $7,000.
Really? What's its rating?
I don't know. Yeah, actually, it go on to earn 1.2 million.
I am shocked by all these 0% movies. These just complete stinkers according to Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, some of these are like, these are A-list movies like Look Who's Talking Now and
Yeah. So hey, another fun tidbit for you. Clerks made with $27,575.
I have never watched
Awesome.
Clerks.
Yeah.
Brought in $3 million at the
Yeah.
box office.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So he filmed the black and white comedy at the very same convenience store at which he worked. After work, he would close the shutters and film all night. He maxed out credit cards.
Did you guys see Parasite, that Korean movie recently, last year or two?
No.
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 And then Paranormal Activity, 15,000.
Yeah, that one, I've completely forgot about it. That was another crazy one that took off. Like,
Yeah, it made
was-
193 million.
yeah, almost no budget to make.
Yeah. Okay.
But yet
so that's
this-
my 3. I'll give you 3 big ones like that. Okay.
Well, one of these times we're all gonna agree, and we'll have the exact same score. Just looking back over, there's always
you
some
know,
variance. We're up and down the scale sometimes.
but see, it's kind of, you two are a little bit different age than me.
Uh-huh.
I'm 47, so I've seen all these older movies that you guys wouldn't see because it kind of dated them out. If that makes sense. So I think I'll have a different perspective.
Yeah, you're looking at it from a nostalgia value.
Yeah.
And Justin and I are just sitting here laughing at
Yeah,
like
saying, really, that's what you took from this?
yeah, that's why I made the comment at the beginning. Is like, was 1979 that slow of a year that this movie grossed what it did?
Yeah, so kind of crazy. Okay. Well, final thoughts here. We watched Mad Max, the very first original 1979 Mad Max movie out of 4. And Joe, have you seen Fury Road or any of them?
No, this was actually
Okay,
the
so
first one
you're
in the entire series.
straight introduction into it, and then
Yes.
Justin.
It kind of got me in the mood to go ahead and watch the rest of them to see how it progresses.
Have you watched all of them now?
I'd never seen the Thunderdome one.
Okay,
I've seen
so
the other ones though. Yeah.
so you've already watched the second one, which is the Road Warrior, and then
Yep.
Beyond Thunderdome, and now have you seen Fury Road?
Yep, I like
Okay.
that one.
Okay, so you just got to watch
I'll
Thunderdome.
rewatch it though. I'll probably
Okay.
rewatch it.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's do number 2 here. Is Justin's a continuation of Justin's pick of Mad Max. We'll watch
Okay.
number 2. So Joe, you can see probably arguably the best Mad Max film.
In the entire series.
I think so.
I'm anxious to watch. And I honestly, like I said, it was a little slow for me, and then
Yeah.
it's like, okay, the main plot point of the biker gang killing his wife and kid. Okay,
Yeah.
they kill him. Now there's 5 minutes
Yeah,
of
yeah.
movie left.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm anxious to see what.
Yeah,
where
The Road Warrior kicks it up a
Road
notch
Warrior
for
takes us
sure.
to. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll be back next week with the Road Warrior, Mad Max number 2.
All right.
And just to quickly go over the reviews of Mad Max number 1, I gave it a medium. Justin, you were small, and
but
Joe.
I'm
Small.
in between. I'm small to medium.
Okay. All right.
I'm solid small today. There's no.
There wasn't enough special effects for Joe.
Well, Mel Gibson running up the hill with a broken leg just wasn't. Now, if it was Chuck Norris, I'd believe it, but it's Mel Gibson now. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. Chuck Norris could pull it off.
Yeah. If it was Chuck Norris, I wouldn't even question it. It's like, yeah, it's Chuck Norris. Why would you?
Oh, boy. All right. Well, Joe, how can we, if somebody's listening to this for the first time, where they need to go?
Check out our website at Rotten Tomato or not
Oh,
Rotten
gosh.
Tomatoes.
Yeah. Now we're Rotten Tomatoes. Holy cow, Justin.
Rotten Tomatoes is not a sponsor. Go to the website. Go to our website at beentherewatchthat.com and follow us on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook at BTWT Pod.
Yeah. And hosted on Anchor. Is that right?
Yes. Again,
Okay.
the podcast is hosted on Anchor.fm. And if you have any movie suggestions, be sure to send them to us. Post in the comments what you want us to review, and let us know in the comments on what's your thoughts of the movie. Did we overhype it? Did we underhype it? Let us know.
Yeah. Watch it and see for yourself. You might discover a hidden gem.
Yeah.
All right. Justin, you want to take us out of here?
Oh, you go ahead, Dave.
Oh, Justin's busy looking at another
Yeah.
movie or something. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, you've been there. Watch that. This is episode number 4 of our series here. And we're going to come back next week with Mad Max, The Road Warrior, the sequel to Mad Max. What was the first one called? Just Mad Max, right?
Mad Max, yeah.
Okay. So the sequel to Mad Max. And get in our second watch here. We're going to follow up on Justin's pick and see if it gets any better for you, Joe. Justin's
I'm
already
hoping.
seen it. I've seen it, but I haven't watched it for a long time. So it'll be a refresher for me. And Justin, when did you watch it? Just here recently?
Last night.
Last
Well,
night?
I'm
Okay.
starting to see apparently Justin and I have very similar movie tastes.
Yeah.
And if Justin's saying the second one's to watch, I'm
You're
laying
in?
heavy on
Okay.
Justin's accountability here. So Justin,
All
I'm
right.
putting you on the line on this one.
All right.
Hey, yeah, now we'll see. Will the true similarities continue, or will you have to break off, Joe?
We'll see.
We'll see. All right. Well, show number 4 in the books. Been there, watch that. I'm here, David, with Joe and Justin, and we'll be back next week. So join us next week. And if you want to get caught up on where we're at, go out and watch Road Warrior, number 2 for the Mad Max series.